Hi, this is Sebastian, and welcome to the Unicorn Gathering. And today we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do if you're freaking out. And this is like acutely freaking out, like really having kind of a panic attack, really kind of being in a panic. So, yeah, these are just tips taken from my own life since I've frequently have found myself in panic all the time. And in places where I was like, oh my god, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out, people! So these are these are 5 things that you can do that will hopefully take you down a notch so that you can take care of yourself in maybe bigger ways. But when you're in the moment and you're just like kind of in this fight or flight freeze, but you're mostly in the freeze and the flight, it can be difficult to kind of know what to do. So, I often find that if I'm having a ton of anxiety and debilitating to the point where I can't function or do the next thing, or I'm just sitting there like, that drinking a quart of water helps take the anxiety down tremendously. So I think that there's something about that must be kind of um, flushing the emotions through or alkalizing the body in some capacity, because every time I do that, it really takes me down a notch. So that might be something to try, especially if you have, filtered water, spring water, or if you have tap water, you can put a lemon in it, something like that. And yeah, just sit there and force yourself to drink water, and force yourself to go through a mason jar's worth of water, and see if that, like at the end of that, if you feel better, because you might feel a lot better. You might feel like, oh shit, that just took the edge off my anxiety. If it does nothing, it does nothing, and maybe that's not a technique that's going to work for you, but just throwing that out there. Another number 2, a way that you can perchance calm yourself down a little bit, is long, deep breathing. Now, this is kind of cliche and this is out there, I talked about a lot, but it works. So just, if you've ever been to yoga class or anything like that, you can, sort of how to breathe, but most of us have no idea how to breathe. So you're starting by taking deep breaths into the diaphragm. That's way down here, right? And then expanding into your lungs. A lot of times we're either breathing from the diaphragm or from the lungs. We're not breathing from both. So breathing into your stomach, then your lungs, and all the way up into your shoulders, and trying to keep that inhale as long as you can. Hold it a little bit at the top, and then, because oxygen, a lot of times when we're freaking out and we're having anxiety, it means that we're not actually getting enough oxygen into the bloodstream. And a great way to love yourself is by oxygenating your blood by breathing. And a lot of times we're freaking out. We're not breathing, or we're breathing very fast, meaning we're not getting a lot of oxygen into our bloodstream, and we can immediately change our state of consciousness and our emotional well-being by breathing. Because a lot of times in the healing processes, we're entering into parts of our psyche, we're entering into places that are damaged in our nervous system, and we're revisiting, traumas and memories in which we weren't breathing, we didn't know, we didn't have any tools, and it's almost like these places in our physical bodies, or even in our emotional or energetic bodies that are kind of dead, they don't have a lot of life to them, and when every time you remember to breathe, you're giving oxygen, you're like giving life. It's like fertilizing that space so that it can grow again and wake up and heal. So long, deep breathing, whether you're up in the middle of the night, you can't sleep, whether you're having a ton of anxiety, whether you're having stress, long, deep breathing, even though sometimes it's kind of painful to do or to force ourselves to do, it once we do it, ooh, that is so delicious. I mean, that's such a nourishing thing to do always. You can never breathe. You can't breathe too much. So long deep breathing all day, really, right? Why not? Is such a good idea. And so if you can remember to long deep breathe while you're in the midst of like freaking out, which is difficult to do, I'm not gonna lie. If you can remember to do that, you're going to really be creating a tremendous healing situation for yourself, because you're breathing into some spaces that you've never breathed into before. You're giving yourself love. Breath is a form of love, right? It's a really important form of love. So try that. Let's see what else. Something that this is more to do with sort of not mild anxiety, but if I'm feeling really off emotionally, and this is not when you're just like, ugh, but maybe when you're just feeling kind of like off, is the writing. You know, I don't know if all of y'all can relate to that. If you're more of someone that enjoys speaking, or you're more auditory, you can speak. You can record yourself on your phone or on your computer talking to yourself about anything, or you can write it down. And I promise, just keep writing or talking. You can just write stream of consciousness or whatever is bothering you. Just keep writing until you feel that until it takes you down a couple notches emotionally, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm starting to actually process my emotions by writing about them or talking about them. You can do this through creating art too. If you're someone that's crafty or likes to paint or draw or color, you can do that this way too, by painting or drawing with the intent of moving emotions. Or you can play an instrument, singing. A lot of times I find singing is very helpful if you're feeling a lot of really debilitating, deep grief, just like sadness into your soul, because it brings such a joy and a lightness. So depending on what kind of emotional experience you're having, can depend on like what activity that you decide to do. But I find that if you're just feeling kind of weird and off, that writing is great. And then if you never tried writing before, it might be something just to pick up and start journaling. Don't ever forget that. This is a great tool for processing emotions. If you're able to go outside and put your bare feet on the ground, that's a really good grounding tool. And walk around a little bit, or even sit with your back up against a tree. You know, trees are deeply connected and rooted into the ground, because when we're having an emotional freak out, we're ungrounded. We're not super connected to spirit, and we're not super connected to the earth. So we're a little disconnected if we're like, ooh. So one of the best ways to connect with the earth is to go outside, away from, when we're inside, we're kind of in EMF soup, electromagnetic frequencies, from Wi-Fi, from appliances, from our computers, phones. And so going outside, we're kind of getting out of that soup a little bit. And if it's warm enough, or if it's cold, you can take your shoes off, because, the rubber sole keeps us from energetically connecting to the ground. Take your shoes off and walk on the ground with your bare feet. And that can be really, really helpful to reconnecting. And again, go hug a tree. I mean, people make fun of tree huggers, but there's some reality to how good that makes you feel. Like, letting the tree help you and ground you and connect you up to the sky and down to the ground. So if you are able in a position to go outside, sometimes that isn't possible, but if you can, to let yourself be helped by nature. Nature is our friend and wants to help, and nature wants to help us. And nature appreciates when we connect to it and bring consciousness and love to ourselves through it. and thereby affecting nature with our consciousness and love. So it's a giant healing opportunity. Take advantage. Oh, this is a huge one. This is a really important one. You know, a lot of us are fiercely independent. We are fucking independent. We are autonomous. We can do it ourselves because we've had to since the moment we were young ones, and we don't like asking for help. We don't like asking for help for people, and we might feel guilty or weird or ashamed about asking for help. And this is very true for asking for spiritual help too. I promise you, we all have guides and angels, and there's beings on the other side, people that I may have passed that you know. They all want to help you, but because of free will, they're not allowed to unless you specifically request it. So just get in the habit of asking for help from your guides. For anyone that you're like, hey, anyone that has my soul's highest good in mind, please help me right now. Because there is no shame in that. Earth is hard, y'all. Ask for help. Earth is so hard. Ask for help. And gosh, you know, it took me a long time to do that, and I always felt kind of bad about it, like I was cheating. What? Asking for help is not cheating. Like, what? That's nuts. Now I'm just like, motherfuckers, help me. Help me! Help me help myself. I don't know what I'm doing. And I promise you, if it's not immediate, you know, in a couple hours and the next day, you'll be like, wow, I feel so much better for no reason whatsoever. And your people, they helped you. So ask them for help. Hey, if you have my soul's highest good in mind, if you're my guides, if you're angels, if you're, you know, friends from the other side, please assist me in going through this process or whatever I'm working with. So ask for help. Don't be afraid. Get used to it. And watch miracles happen, my friends. Miracles happen. I said 5, but actually there's 6, so there's a bonus. Bonus! Is everyone ready for the bonus? Emote! You know, this can be hard when you're freaking out. But if you can get into a place where you're like, I'm giving myself full permission to have an emotional experience. If I need to cry, I might need to cry. Is there anything that I can do to help facilitate that? Because a lot of times we can just be emotionally constipated, and that's why we're feeling all whacked out and like freaking out, is we're kind of emotionally constipated. Maybe we're not letting ourselves experience anger, irritation. Maybe we're not letting ourselves fully feel into our terror or fear or anxiety, or really admit that to ourselves, like, yeah, I am really scared of this. Yeah, write down a list of everything you're scared of. That's another tool, another writing exercise. Write down everything you're afraid of. Or you just might be sad and not letting yourself properly feel that and go into that experience and cry about it, you know? So if you can figure out a way to let yourself emote, you're going to feel so much better, because emoting, it moves energy and clears it out, because that freaking out experience is like energy. It's trapped. It's trapped between heaven and earth, right? It's not going into the earth and it's not going into heaven. It's like trapped. So these are all things to help circulate that energy a little bit so that you're not just stuck in it. And it's not like I'm trying to get away from myself in it. It's like I love myself, so I'm just sort of, how can I help myself go through this experience in the most pleasant way possible? So I hope that helped. If you're freaking out, we all freak out all the time. I hope that you're freaking out. If you're not, then I deal with pulse. Because there's a lot to freak out about these days. It's okay. I don't want everyone to be freaking out all the time, but it's not a bad thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with you if you're having really intense emotional experience. Like, for me to get to a place where I was admitting to myself, I'm freaking out, or to other people that I was freaking out. Wow, it's taking me so long. If other people ever was like, are you okay? Oh, that used to make me so mad. How dare you question if I'm okay? Because I was so, of course I'm okay. I got my shit together. Whatever, y'all, drop the ego. No one has their shit together. We're all just faking it. Fake it till you make it. There's so many little ants crawling around. Alright, I think that's all. Again, my name's Sebastian, and subscribe. Some people don't even use YouTube, and they're like, I don't even know what that means. Just press the subscribe button. All that means, it doesn't mean anything really. All it means is that if I make another video, you'll be notified somehow if you go on YouTube. It doesn't really mean all that much. But why not subscribe? It would mean a lot to me, I think. I don't know yet, but I think it would. And also, if you have any questions, just ask. Ask, comment, interact. You know, being human is about connecting and interacting. It's real fun, y'all. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you probably already do. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be watching this video. Do that. All information I'll have below. And yeah, if you would like to set up a session with me, get an astrology reading or a spiritual guidance session, this is a lot of stuff that we talk about and we practice in these sessions, is everything I'm talking about. So, you can just DM me on my Instagram, email me, etc. Alright, I hope that you all have a lovely day. Sebastian. Really appreciating all of you for watching and for being your wonderful unicorn selves and just expressing yourself and taking care of yourself on this crazy journey that we're all on. Y'all got it. Keep going. Don't give up. Do it. Alright, bye.